Question 29 in the Newton's Laws section, which is chapter 4, page 144. Here we have a car changing directions. Okay, so the trick here is to remember your reference frames. It says that the car changes its velocity from 20 meters per second north to 20 meters per second south. So that means that V1 is 20 meters per second, but we have to use a north-south reference frame where north is positive and south is negative. So we would call this 20 meters per second. But V2, because it's 20 meters per second south, we'd have to put a negative sign in front. So that's the difference here between those two velocities. They're both 20 in magnitude, but their opposite directions means one is plus and one is minus. The other thing they give us is the time. It says that this change of speed happens in 5.5 seconds. So what we have to do is, of course, since F net equals ma, we have to first figure out the a. And to do that with this information, you use the formula A equals V2 minus V1 over T. That means V2 is negative 20 because it was south. So it's negative 20. And then you're subtracting the positive 20. So you see, you get minus 40 on top. This is just part of the formula. So V1 is a positive number, so you're subtracting 20 on that part. But V2 is a down or a south 20, so you have to put a negative 20 in there. And then you're dividing by your time of 5.5. So you might have ended up with 0 on top because you just put 20 minus 20. That's because you forgot that 20 south must be negative 20, okay? So you end up with negative 40 over 55, or sorry, 5.5. And so first you can figure that out. And let's see, 40 divided by 5.5 is negative 7 point, I'm going to call it 7.3 when you round it off, meters per second squared. That's your A. Now that makes sense. Your A is negative, not because you're slowing down, but because you're speeding up in the opposite direction. Remember that directions for A mean which way would you have to sort of pull on something. If I'm going this way, in order to turn me around and make me go south, you would have to pull this way, right? So for the first part of my journey, you're slowing me down. And then the car stops, and then it starts going back south again, and it speeds back up. So this is the A all the way through that. It's a negative A, so this negative number makes sense. Then we do F net equals ma. And I think we have a mass of this car, 1,500 kilograms. And we're dividing that. Oh, no, we're not dividing it. We're multiplying. My mistake. Sorry. 1,500 kilograms multiplied by our just newly found A of negative 7.3. And when we're going to multiply that number, we get, let's see, 1,500 times 7.3, and it's negative. We get negative 10,950 newtons. Why negative? Well, because the force pulling down right here is pulling to the south. You can't make a car stop going north and start going south unless you pull towards the south. So there's the force pulling